do a little bit of an update for the strike. I want to play this video. This is More Perfect Union. We want to try to give these updates anytime they're doing strikes. Rome, I feel like we are the reporters for this. This is what we're here for, like to report on strike stuff, or at least push for more strikes. But let's listen to this video to set the ground foundation for the conversation here. Let's listen.
That parking lot is normally full Monday through Friday. Now it's empty due to the fact that we are on strike. We are fighting for what we deserve.
You can't expect these workers to make cars they can't afford to buy. This is just not about the UAW. This is about all active employees across the United States, because what happens here will happen everywhere.
It's been a long time coming. It's history in the making.
No deal, no wheels.
For the first time in history, the United Auto Workers Union is striking against all big three automakers at once.
About 12,700 workers committed to a...
Now, there has been some criticism, Rome. I'm not sure if you've heard it. There's been criticism about the strike strategy where they're striking some, like, for example, I said there's only 3 plants right now out of all the workers. So there's about, I think it's 14,000 people it covers out of 150,000 or close to 150,000 workers. So there's been some criticism. But we heard, and when I reported on this criticism by one of the workers, there's a UAW worker. His name is Will Lehman. He's a Marxist. He was running for a UAW president last year. He almost came close. So he's one of the people that has a critique for this strategy. But I did see Maximilian Alvarez report on, give an update, and basically saying, he just did the math. And William Lehman alludes to this. He says, when I was reporting, he said, the reason we don't have enough strike fund because the leadership in the union rated it to pay themselves, Rome.
Of course.
Right. So Maximilian did the math, and he said this is basically how it works, and this is why they're doing this strategy. It basically costs $75 million to pay each worker, 150,000 workers, $500 a week out of the strike fund, and that's what every worker gets. So 75 million, and you got 800 million. That only gives you about 11 weeks of strike. Yeah. So the idea was, then the capitalists just wait us out for 10 weeks. If they know all we got is 800 million, they just wait us out. So the idea was have some people still, the bulk of the people in the beginning still working, getting paid for their work, not pulling from the strike fund. And it started out slowly where you're pulling some out of the strike fund so you can prolong it. So I understand if that's the strategy, it sounds logical. But still, the question has to be answered. Why is the strike? What did the strike fund have more money in it, and where did that money go? If William is bringing up a question of that, so I get that. I get that. Yeah. So, all right. So let's get back to the video. I just wanted to make that clear for everybody.
A work stoppage at 3 locations.
The UAW is demanding pay raises of more than 40% for its members to match the pay raises of CEOs of the companies. The strike became official overnight when that midnight deadline hit without a deal.
All of you know that there was once a time.
What the fuck this nigga doing here?
I don't know. I'm going to give this guy grace only because he was out there on the 15th. Now everybody's out there. Even Khanna. I just did a story previously. Khanna's ass was out there, man. You got some audacity going out. So Khanna's out there. So I want to give him a slightly. At least Bernie was the first one out there on the picket lines of an elected leader. That still doesn't take away the fact that he's still propping up the Democratic Party that crushed strikes.
Bernie, right. Bernie is only there to make sure that he can crush those strikes. Like Bernie, people always talk about Bernie. Oh, he was walking with the strikers. Like, dude, he has a trail of dead unions and dead strikes in his fucking path. Like, look at his path.
So you're saying he's like an infiltrator.
We don't hear anything from these people anymore. We barely hear anything about the $15 an hour people anymore. He just left them in the fucking dust. He has a trail of dead unions and dead strikers in his fucking path. Fuck Bernie Sanders.
So you look at it as he he is the infiltrator for the ruling
Yeah.
class. Hey,
because
hey,
you-
they
you're not
trust
about
you.
to
Go over
send-
there in the labor movement.
Who you gonna send Matt Gates over there? You gonna send Joe Manchin over there? You gonna send him? Come on, man. You know we're gonna send our mouthpieces, AOC, Bernie Sanders, or if that's too progressive or too left leaning, we can send Elizabeth Warren or whatever it may be. Use the mouthpieces that we got to get these people up under us. So when people look at it, they're not looking at it as from a worker's perspective. They're looking at it as a Democrat or Republican type thing. So now you have motherfuckers that's working for these unions and for these places that probably don't align politically with Bernie and don't want nothing to be done. Don't want to be seen with this motherfucker. Don't want to do any work with him. Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
All these people do is break up workers, break up strikers, and alienate our workers amongst themselves, especially when it comes to politics. This is the first thing that we should have is politics to the side and politicians in the fucking back.
So let's listen. Here's another. Nikki Haley has something to say about the striking workers. So let's listen to this. This is kind of making its rounds on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen it, Ron, but she's getting dragged for this. Let's listen.
Well, I think that's it tells you that when you have the most pro-union president and he touts that he is emboldening the unions, this is what you get. And I'll tell you who pays for it is the taxpayers. You know, here, from what I understand, the union is asking for a 40% raise. The companies have come back with a 20% raise. I think any of the taxpayers would love to have a 20% raise.
You see, and this is so slimy how they do this, because it's like this, Rome. You starve somebody, and then you go. If you have a room full of starving people, so you go from no food to having a little shot glass of rice. You get what I'm saying? Then you try to make it seem like this little shot glass of rice is now the marker. So you go, you got 2 shot glasses of rice, bitch. It's still 2 shot glasses. You trying to act like it's because it's in comparison of the first shot glass, and that's what she's saying right here. And I'll rewind for her to make this point.
Why the hell is she talking like that? Like she talking like she's slimy.
Yeah, so let's listen.
You get, and I'll tell you who pays for it is the taxpayers. You know, here, from what I understand, the union is asking for a 40% raise. The companies have come back with a 20% raise. I think any of the taxpayers would love to have a 20%.
Yes, see, this is what she's saying. So if you didn't get the analogy I'm making, let me just say it this way. This is what she's saying. The vast majority of people would love a 20% raise, and they would, Rome, because they're being exploited.
Yeah.
You see how they phrase this? Like, you're wanting way more than the vast majority would be fine with this. That's because you're exploiting them. So if you give them more, of course they would want that, Nikki. So that's not a point, is basically what I'm saying. That's not a point to be like, oh, check, I just dropped the mic. You didn't drop the mic. You're comparing it to slavery. Like, what are you saying? Like, saying like you have it way better compared to your grandma. You talking about my slaves? You're like, what are you comparing this shit to? But let's get back to
it. The problem is we're all gonna suffer from this. This is gonna cause things to go up, and this is gonna last a while.
What is the what?
Go ahead.
So workers getting more money causes things to go up. Okay, so we have been at the same federal minimum wage since 2005?
Right.
2007-ish. What is the reason for these things going up now? What is the reason why I'm paying 40% more for my gas? Do you know how crazy it is that I'm putting $55 in a 2011 Honda
That's
Civic?
Insane. It would be $75 out here, Rome. You've been out here. You was out here.
What is the excuse? What is the excuse? What is this? The Putin inflation? Is the Putin hike? Or is what you gonna blame it on now? Because we have been working for the same wage. We have been working the same wages for many generations now, and it has done nothing but gone up. Housing has gone up. Food has gone up. Healthcare is out of reach for normal Americans. What is the excuse? What is the excuse? Oh, you know what? Who's gonna pay more? The boss is gonna pay more, not us. This is who she's talking for. Oh, we're gonna have to pay more. She's talking about the fucking elite. She's talking about the niggas that's not in our tax bracket. Can't be talking about me because I'm already paying more for shit that I ain't even fucking have shit nothing to do with.
That's such a great point, Rome, and I didn't even think of it that way. Let's get it because it's like so you're blaming, oh, we raise wages, somehow that's going to raise prices. Then what is the excuse for our wages hasn't been raised? So what's raising prices now? And why can those things raise prices, but wages for us can't raise prices? Right. You get what I'm saying? Like how can billionaires' profits go up, and that's a reason to raise prices, or your stockholders, but raising prices for workers to get more money, that's not okay. It's all the framing that I like to break down around this length, because people listen to this stuff and they don't understand everything. Literally every word she's saying is a slanted capitalist perspective, and I'm gonna give you an example right here.
Suffer from this. This is going to cause things to go up, and
I was gonna stop it in the same place as you, because it is an automatic thing that in a capitalist society we have been conditioned to believe cost of something else means that the owner needs to raise prices on us. That is a owner slave mentality that we bought into. That we think that because it costs more for you that you can afford, you Scrooge bitch. You think you just gonna recoup that shit from us. Why isn't Rome? Why isn't Nikki saying you capitalists better not fucking try to recoup this money after the workers get their fair share, you bitch ass motherfuckers? Like, why isn't that the case? Why isn't that the framing of the conversation? I wish, nigga, we need to have like a Marxist TV, man. Like, you just saying what we want to say. I'm guaranteed we be having a bunch of people watch that shit.
Oh yeah.
If they would have to freaking suppress it like they're suppressing us on here. But let's listen to the rest of what she has to say.
You know, this is going to last a while. But, you know, when you have a president that's constantly saying, go union, this is what you get. The unions get emboldened, and then they start asking for things that, you know, that companies have a tough time doing. And so
it's a bad thing that he's
Rome. This is what I hate about
she basically saying this is what happens when you get a mouse a cookie. This is the story of giving a mouse a cookie,
yes.
Right? He's gonna ask this, he's gonna ask
yes.
that. This is basically what she's saying about us. She's saying that we are mouse, we are roaches, and we should have been on a leash. He should have never been geeking up our head, showing us that he has our back, and you know what I'm saying, that we can fight for more. Even though Joe, that is the rhetoric is different from his actions, so he can say he's the most pro-union. But nigga, that don't make any sense when I see that you crushed the railroad strike. It could have been the biggest strike in the history of America. You know, you giving contracts to strike breakers like Jeff Bezos. How is that pro-union? But this is how they treat. This is how they look at us. They saying, hey, don't get that muscle cookie because then he's gonna ask for your soul.
Right. That's how they look at it. That's literally how they look at it. I mean, it literally, and I'm going to start using the reference of Scrooge because that's literally how American capitalists, that's their outlook, is how Scrooge is. And when you think of the Scrooge story, what is he? He didn't want to give pennies, and you come to work, and I don't care about your family. Tiny Tim, fuck your Tiny Tim handicap ass son. You know, bring your ass to work over here on Christmas. That's how capitalists view it. And then when he was not, and you know what he does in the story? I'm nice one day of the year. Now I'm good. I'm benevolent. That is literally how capitalists think. Oh, I went on Thanksgiving. I fed them on Thanksgiving, and now I'm freaking. I'm benevolent. Now I'm godlike because I helped you on one day, and I'm gonna fuck you up on 364 other days of the year, except for this one day.
Because he still have done yet. He still have done nothing about the buzzsaws that's in the fucking waters that's killing the migrants that's coming over from the countries that we have been bombing and raping for generations now. He has done nothing about none of the promises that he had kept. Like the only promise that he kept was nothing will fundamentally change. But you know what? I can't even say that because a lot of shit did fundamentally change for the worse. For the fucking poor. But for the rich, they got richer during the pandemic. They gained as much money as we lost. They was like, they had to do a study on why is eggs so high? Why is tissue so high? Because they just raised them to be that high. There's no reason why it should be that high. Right. We still are producing we still are producing the same shit around the same time. There is no droughts. They are just holding shit from you and rising up the price because they fucking can. And there is no government to hold them accountable because they already been paid off before the prices was already rose.
And here is Shama Sawant chiming in about the UAW strike. She calls out Khanna for his phony virtue signaling showing up at the damn strike. All of them showed up, man. Just everybody pretending like they're down with this shit. Jamal Bowman at the damn climate thing.
Oh
that
God.
Fucking sellout ass. Let's listen, man. That guy, man. I covered it yesterday. That guy is fucking terrible.
And I heard that you had a chance to talk to Congressmember Khanna. Just for our viewers, Khanna is a rising star in the Congressional Progressive Caucus. He, like, unfortunately, virtually all the progressives, actually, I should say, voted to break the railroad workers' strike, including the chair of the Progressive Caucus, Pramila Jayapal. So what did Khanna have to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bold for someone who voted to break a railroad strike to come out here to a picket line. A picket line that would have been much stronger if rail workers had gone out on strike, if they had won a much stronger contract, if they had won these demands for 14 paid sick days or even more, fighting for the safety that they needed to prevent disasters like in East Palestine, which happened here in the state of Ohio, where Toledo workers are on strike right now. I think it is pretty rich for him to come out here to this picket line after taking such an anti-union position. Of course, politicians are coming out of the woodwork to present as if they support auto workers. The question, though, that workers here are asking, it's great that politicians are coming out. It's great that they're, saying these kind of vague statements. But what we really need is for them to stand firmly with us. Otherwise, none of it really matters.
Biden has not even come close to doing enough. If he really backs us, he needs to step.
Now, we watched the Khanna video, and they had all kind of bullshit in the video. And I was like, why doesn't he have people in here saying shit like this? Like this guy right here. Khanna got all this soft little milk toast trying to make himself be down with the workers. Why aren't you going around shaking hands saying, I broke the last strike?
He's doing a campaign ad. He's doing a campaign ad. He is not there for the workers. He's there for his looks. For the next time he's ready to run, he have his his little "I support the workers" video, and probably go throw on a fucking hard hat and pick up a damn screwdriver for the first time.
He pick it up like, what is this? That is a screwdriver, Ro. All right, let's listen.
Stop putting out these blank statements of just saying he backs us. He needs to in verbatim repeat what we need. He needs to say word for word. If we're asking for a 40% raise, he needs to come out and say give them 40% raise, because you come out and just say we're going to get record profits.
Right. That's the same thing I was saying in the segment about Khanna. Like, they coming out here and always saying these vague little platitudes that anybody, like if you say a fair deal, what you have as fair in your head, Rome, and what I have in fair are completely two different things. But this is what politicians do. They use these words that everybody has a different interpretation, because what's fair to me, Rome, is that they get 36% on top of 14%, which equals 50% increase. 36% brings them to current, meaning like if they were getting cost of living, they would be at 33% would bring where they should be today. But your contract, Rome, moving forward is looking forward. So that's the other 14% is for inflation that is coming ahead of us. That's why they should be getting 50%. So if we're saying, if he uses the word fair, in my head, I'm saying fair. Do you think 50%? Do you think Ro Khanna, when he says fair, do you think he says 50%?
He don't want them to get what they're getting right now. If it was up to Ro Khanna, he'd break their damn strike. You know, man, no. Fair would be like 10% increase. That would be fair enough just to get you guys through the holidays, you know, and maybe we can go strike again. I can take another fucking picture with you fucking idiots.
It's just terrible, man. And then, or are you gonna send it to Ukraine? Evil. That's what I would have said if I was down there. Oh, are you gonna send this money to Ukraine, Ro Khanna?
Because what's really fair is the owners giving up the ownership into a co-op for the workers. Now that is more than fair. They have made record profits. They are, you know, they can live 3-4 times and never spend that money that they have right now, even if they quit being a CEO or a CFO or a COO, whatever the fuck their position may be. What's fair is to release the plant to the workers so they can run and make the profit off of there. That's what's fair. And now we can actually control and see what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? And the insides and outs and how much money are we actually raking in. Now, that's fair in my head, you know, because I'm not negotiating with a capitalist. I feel like, you know, of course, you know, strikers, they have to strike. Everybody ain't fucking Marxist, you know, but I really feel like if this fails, if they don't get the deal that they want, I think what's fair is for the workers to burn down the plant. I think what's fair is for the workers to burn down the boss's houses and steal his cars and let him go through what they're going to be going through in the near future. I think what's fair is the CEOs living the same exact life as the motherfucking workers. So a co-op will be the best thing for Jeep, for Chrysler, for Ford. And you know what's so crazy about Ford? These motherfuckers slick. Like my brother-in-law worked for Ford. I had put an application in for Ford 2 years ago. 2 years ago. They just hit me back. I wonder why. I just got an email from Ford, right? So they want me to come in and be a scab. They want me to come in and scab for these people because they're standing up for their rights. No, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and work this out. And if this deal go through, I'll sign an application. No problem. No fucking problem. But you know, back to the fair. Yeah, I think it's only right that the people has had enough. We're negotiating now. We're going to negotiate again. We're going to negotiate again because the more we push, the harder they push back. And sometimes we don't win that the tug of war. Sometimes we don't win the shove and match. Sometimes we don't. Then we're back to ground zero. So, you know, what's fair is the workers actually and the unions actually joining up as one. Railroad strikers, you know, UAW, auto workers, the home care workers, all of us need to be up under one union with one goal: co-op the workplace. That's it. Enough negotiating with these capitalists because that's all we're gonna do. My parents is doing this. My grandparents is doing this. I'm not doing that shit. I'm not about to talk to these fucking capitalists about what I deserve. You think that nigga give a fuck? They over here talking about you get enough. Why they over here in their fucking yacht, the third yacht on the Pacific Ocean somewhere with strippers sniffing cocaine? I'm not negotiating with nobody like that. You can't talk to nobody. You can't negotiate with a terrorist. You can't negotiate with a goddamn psychopath who can see that his workers can't even afford to buy the cars that they are fixing. And be like, oh yeah, whatever. Like I asked I remember I will never forget this conversation. I asked my nephew, I'm like, he's like, I don't know about the communist stuff, man. I'm like, well, you know, think about it, man. How many cars do y'all push out a day? He like, shit, it depends, like 3,000, 5,000, shit, and good weekend, 10,000, like 10,000 cars. I'm like, okay, well, shit, that's a lot of cars, man. How much you getting paid? It's like, you know, like $12 an hour, blah, blah. I was like, how many cars have they given you? Yeah. Like, how many cars have they given you? None. It's like, don't you feel like you deserve at least a car to get back and forth to work? While they have, just parking lots full of them, they can't sell them because they crappy fucking cars, because the workers don't even pay enough to even give a fuck about building them. So you don't feel like you deserve, you don't feel like you deserve more. You feel like this is enough. You making it by, and I know that you stand in your mama's basement. This is it. Like, no, you deserve better. If they got what they got, then you deserve even more, because there is no way, even your CEO, your boss, whatever the fuck he may be, he can't come on the line and do what you do. You're gonna have to come in and teach him what not to press, what not to go over. You know what I'm saying? Don't put your hand in this. These fucking people, they have no idea how to run that fucking business. They have no idea what it takes, the blood, sweat, and tears that we have shed over the years just to try to feed our family off these paychecks.